It's been labelled a shameful chapter in the history of policing in the Northern Territory. A coronial inquest into the death in custody of Kwementyaye Briscoe in Alice Springs has wrapped up after 2 weeks of hearings. The 27-year-old died in the watch house. He wasn't checked in his cell for more than 2 hours. ABC reporter Allyson Horn has been covering the coronial, and she spoke to Kwementyaye Briscoe's aunty, Patricia Morton Thomas, about her nephew.
My nephew was really a very rare type of man. He was the type of man who you didn't really have to ask for assistance, he would just do it. If he saw that you were tired and your house was a mess, then there would be no excuses from him, he would just do it, regardless, you know. But he's also a man who, like most Aboriginal people, have had to endure a tremendous amount of loss. And he lost so many people that the only way to go is to find something to relieve that kind of pain and hurt. You're constantly hurting. For him, his choice was alcohol. It's an unfortunate choice, but that's the choice that he made to dull that pain and sorrow.
You sat through the CCTV footage that was shown in the inquest. How do you feel about what you saw in that vision?
I think outraged is probably the closest word you can come to, and that doesn't even define how I feel about it. It's outrageous.
Right? You're being very silly, mate. All right? Is there anything in his pockets? We'll just do the street down there.
You know, on the floor, drips of blood down there, blood in the cell, and it amazes me that the officers were conscious enough to clean that blood up, but not conscious of where that blood came from.
Police officers have broken down and apologised. What do you make of their apologies?
We appreciate that they're sorry. We do. It felt to me, and I can only go by what I felt, that some of those apologies were heartfelt and they came from a person's heart, and they also came from an understanding of what our family might be going through. But there is a big difference between being sorry that you have been compromised in something and being actually sorry for what that person endured.
The inquest has heard there were concerns raised about junior staff being left unattended in the watch house and that senior officers didn't act on those concerns. What do you think about those police actions?
That's insane, really. How utterly and totally insane of those officers. That's pretty common sense advice that I think the Inspector Delphine Jones gave. That out of the entire inquest, and it was horrific to sit there and watch my nephew, what had happened to my nephew and what didn't happen to my nephew. It was horrific to go through that. But for me, the absolutely total outrageous thing in this entire thing is that my nephew's death could have been prevented.
The Northern Territory Police Commissioner John McRoberts has personally apologised to you and your family. What do you say to him about what's happened?
I think they have a very, very thorough understanding that they messed up in a major way. I think they have that understanding. Now, obviously, Coroner Kavanagh thought they had that understanding too the last time this happened.
If police behaviour is found to be negligent, will you consider a civil case?
Well, that's an option, I guess. Right now, all my family will look at the options available to them, and we'll go from there once we know what our options are.
If, when the coroner hands down his findings, police are found to have been negligent in their duties, what do you think should happen?
What I think should happen is that this should never happen again. We're not after blood from anybody, you know. It's going to be a long time coming for forgiveness It's going to be a long time. There are those in my family I know will never, ever forgive the Alice Springs Police Force for this. Then if you want your officers to stop making the same mistakes, subject them to the same force of the law that you would subject to any other general citizen. Do the right thing.
How much do you miss Kwementyaye?
If I didn't have my children, if I didn't have my mothers and the rest of my family to stay behind for, I'd just end it. I'd just end me because that's how much I miss him.